Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Bryan Singer's Bohemian Rhapsody in 2018. Here's the Blu-ray, and yes, we're here to review this film. Of course, just saw it for the first time tonight, and yes, this is an interesting film. Very, very controversial film. It's very, very panned at times by the critics. I didn't hear too much great stuff. When it came out critically, and just quite a lot of people, it was a very, very mixed film. And it's very, very divisive, of course. And yes, the weird thing is, it's got an 8.1 IMDb, and of course, it got a few Oscars. It got 4 Oscars, including, of course, Best Actor for Rami Malek. Now, this film, I've been looking forward to it, and also quite nervous, for the film because Queen, one of my top 5 bands of all time. I think, and the song Bohemian Rhapsody, definitely in my top 10 of all time songs. Only really beaten by some Beatles works, maybe a couple other songs, but really, definitely in my top 10. It's a personal backstory about Queen. As a kid, I just loved Queen. At a very, very young age, though, I was scared of, the video of Bohemian Rhapsody. It was on the Top of the Pops and stuff, and I was always very scared of it. But, when I actually started listening to music a few years after that, less than 10 years, of course, properly listening to music, CDs and stuff, I absolutely adored Queen. I got the absolute greatest hits, on CD, and just listened to them over and over, and just definitely one of my top 5 bands, favourite bands, and just wonderful, wonderful artists. Freddie Mercury as well, very, very inspirational artist for me. And yes, this film, of course, chronicles, mainly Freddie Mercury, but again, just the band, of Queen from the years 1970 to 1985. And yes, of course, begins and ends with, the Live Aid concerts. You see that. And of course, this Blu-ray actually says that it comes with the full performance of around 20 minutes, not seen in cinemas. Now that is on the special features, so don't think you're going to go into it and actually just see it in the film all the way through. I haven't checked if there's an option for that, but when I watched it, it wasn't that. It was the actual version that was in cinemas. I think separately on the special features, you can access that, and it's in its full kind of form. Not just in the film, but the actual footage as well. Definitely be checking that out. Although I've seen it on YouTube many times, but interesting, of course, to see in the actual film version. And I would have liked there to be an option where you can just instantly do that with the film. But it's fine. And yes, this is not actually my Blu-ray. I borrowed it, of course, and I will be buying it though. This film, very, very controversial. I had many doubts about the film, as always, and I kind of put it down to just trailers nowadays being pretty crap. It didn't look amazing on the trailers. I was very, very hesitant, just the way the trailer had been put together. But it's just another case of it, making films look worse than they actually are. This film, controversial, as I say. There are those that love it and those that hate it. And despite my doubts, and I this is my opinion. I think this film really is everything I wanted it to be. It's human. It's magical. It's inspirational and just epic from start to finish. And just for me, an epic masterpiece of cinema. This film is absolutely stunning, and I was blown away by the film. No flaws for me whatsoever. I think it's an astounding piece of cinema and a wonderful tribute, of course. I hear there's meant to be a sequel as well. That should be very interesting. But this film just blew me away. I adored it, and it instantly made it into my favourite films list. For me, one of the best films, among the best. Not like top 10 or anything, but one of the best of the 2010s. This film was remarkable, and it just satisfied me in every way. It was a wonderful, wonderful tribute to one of my favourite, artists, and of course, it does focus on Freddie Mercury, but it does, as well portray the actual band, together wonderfully. Their creative process, and just, the whole kind of the struggle to be kind of heard and accepted. It's a very, very big theme, of course, in this film is acceptance, and of course, Freddie Mercury. It's a shame, what happened and how he was seen and stuff. It's always a shame, but he's someone's very, very inspirational, of course, because he just kind of fought it and he didn't allow, anyone in the media and stuff to get him, to beat him. And yes, this film does the show, of course, things relating to sexuality and how he kind of dealt with it, and stuff in the press and all the criticism really that came with it. But again, it's just very, very inspirational the way it's done, and of course, it does also show his very, very complex relationship with Mary, of course, as well. Big role in the film, especially in the first half, and of course, it shows his family, how they, especially the father didn't really want him, they didn't accept what he was doing at first. So it's got all this stuff, it's a family drama at times. It's a wonderful kind of, really warm and tender film. It has so much great stuff with the actual band together. The comedy always works, and of course, just the drama of it. The struggle, the kind of the conflict within the band, and it really just shows this wonderfully. No bias at all, and it's just a wonderful, kind of epic rise. You see this from 1970, as I said, to 1985, and actually the final act, of course, the final moments are the Live Aid concerts, and just what a way to end the film. For me, this is a masterpiece. I think it has been criticised for its editing, and I was looking for this in the first, sort of 20 minutes, and I just thought, it's not there. I'm not seeing any issues with the editing. I don't know what the hell is going on there. I just watched the rest of the film in awe. Very, very moving film. Absolutely, it really just was so emotional to see this, and it's just so sincere. That's the thing that really elevates the film. It's so sincere. It could easily have been very, very mainstream in the bad way. Commercial and just kind of giving it in, to the audience and stuff. And yes, it's not a film, that goes really, really dark. It's not, an entirely risky film in that sense. It doesn't, dig right into particular or specific things, because of course it has to have a balance. It is kind of, it's not just Freddie Mercury it's shown, it's the whole band, and just the whole overall kind of the narrative is not something that really, goes into certain things it could have done in specific ways. It's not, a thoroughly dark film. Maybe we'll see that in the sequel, but of course it was until Live Aid, so it's meant to end on a kind of high note. But for me, it was just wonderful in everything it done. But I think it has the joyous moments. It does have some dark moments, of course, and it's just, for me, it was just so emotional. It really did elevate to such heights that I was just, I really was moved. And of course, the awe of the film, the sense of wonder is all there. It kind of balances all this out. The epic scope of the film, I was so glad that kind of, because of course the Live Aid kind of segment, was at least 10 minutes. So at least you've got so much of the film before that to kind of actually just explore this rise, and this masterful character study before the kind of the showman moments, you could say, towards the end, the kind of the bravado and the kind of all the kind of the spectacle, and this film balances that spectacle throughout with these wonderful human moments, just really the perfect song choices of songs throughout the film. Of course, this could have literally just been a rehashing of many of their songs and stuff, and just literally playing all the greatest hits, you could say. And it does have quite a lot of their songs in there, but not in the way that it's kind of just trying to get them all in there. It's always at the right moments, and of course it does dig into the kind of how they created the song, some of them, especially of course Bohemian Rhapsody. It's just wonderful to see this, and how they kind of, a lot of people didn't think the song would be that great, and just, of course, they defied the odds. They really, of course, created one of the greatest songs of all time, and of course, just all their songs, I think used in the film, always at the perfect moments, and of course, just a wonderful portrayal of their music, and them as people, as humans. I just loved the balance of drama, the comedy, of course, as well. Really, really funny moments, and of course, really shocking moments. It's not afraid to go different places. As I say, to kind of to show, Freddie Mercury, for all his flaws, of course. But again, it's a film that's so sincere, and of course, it's just, I was so invested in this film, not just because I love Queen, because there's many films that are kind of about things that you love that you don't like as a film. This film is just a wonderful, sincere film that just done it all right. I think it really just showcased everything wonderfully, and of course it's just epic. It's wonderful cinematography. I don't get the editing problem. I think the editing was wonderful. And of course there's many moments that just kind of jump time as well. It's not done in a generic way. It's not rushed in any way. I didn't feel, and just it has so many kind of quiet moments in the film that I just really appreciated. I loved, you got to know, this character, and the rest of the band as well, and even the side characters. They're all wonderful here. Perfect, casting choice. Of course, Rami Malek. Now, he got the Oscar, of course. I've not seen quite a lot of the films from last year, but this is a film. Instantly when I see this performance, I think, it's an Oscar-worthy performance. It's absolutely stunning, and just wow, what a tribute to Freddie Mercury. This is just something that is absolutely monumental. Every facial expression, every emotion that's conveyed is perfect. This is a powerhouse performance. He's got everything right. Just the stance, the kind of walk, and just the humanity of Freddie Mercury, the wonderful person he was, and the great artist. And it was wonderful to see this, and it's just so kind of true to what actually happened. Of course, many people have said there's things in the historical things very inaccurate. But I don't judge films solely in that, of course. Because many people say Braveheart is a piece of and just because of that, and it's a masterpiece for me. This film is a masterpiece, and it's just an absolutely stunning one. The cinematography is stunning. The way they captured the concerts, the live performances, the Live Aid was an epic moment. One of the best, one of my favourite moments, of course, of the 2010s in a film. It's just wonderful, and just this satisfied me in every way. It moved me deeply. It was so warm and charming. Just a magical experience. I want to watch the film again. It was so addictive in its storytelling. The script was wonderful. I really thought the script was wonderful. It was very criticised with the script, but especially critically. But for me, the script was wonderful. All these characters were so well developed, and just wonderful moments. Within the script, the dialogue. I just thought was very, very moving, and just epic. Of course, I love Queen, but it's not the case that it's just I love this film. I absolutely adore it because of that. Because cinema for me is the highest art form, and it's always for me about the actual film itself. As a piece of cinema, was I compelled? Was I invested? Was I moved? Was it sincere, and did it elevate me, and all these kind of things? And absolutely it did, and it just went beyond what I thought this film would do. Of course, Bryan directed most of this film, and I think Dexter Fletcher came in for maybe a few weeks afterwards, once he was fired, singer, and kind of he took over, but mainly the credit is the singer here, and based on what I've seen of the film, absolutely wonderful direction. I don't know the exacts of what happened there, but the direction of this film was absolutely wonderful, and just the way they kind of brought out these characters, especially of course Freddie Mercury, who portrayed the time period wonderfully. The 70s and the 80s. There's wonderful production, of course. The lighting adds to this experience, and just the overall kind of the color tones. I loved. I think it was really, really nostalgic, and just wonderful and sincere. Beautiful to look at this film, and of course these epic moments. When you see them performing, it's just as good as it is. When you kind of see them kind of in the recording, in the studios, and actually just making deals, and stuff, and the struggles to get their music kind of released, and actually do it their way, and it's just a wonderful balanced out film. It really is something else. It moved me to tears. I think the final moments are just really, really, they're epic, of course, but they're very, very moving. And of course, wonderful credits as well. Everything about this film is absolutely stunning. I adored it from start to finish. Was blown away, and as I say, it's not because I love Queen that they're in my top 5 bands. That I love the film. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of films, about kind of artists or things that I'm so interested in or love, and I've not liked. Them actual films, them biopics, if you like, and just this one is really something else. As a film, I loved it from start to finish, and for me, it just gets the extra special rating. It really does. Not only a full marks film, it edges in, and of course, ever expanding kind of tiers I've got to my 100% films. The pluses. Who knows? Eventually, there could be 500 films. With at least into these tiers. At the moment, there's not even 200. There's around about 200 actually. This film, it edges in right at the end. I think it deserves a spot in the 100% plus tier 3 bracket. This film was stunning, and it's this is for my enjoyment. There are films, this only has to you have to get 100%. Full marks, of course, masterpiece to be allowed into this rating that I give, and it's just. If a film gets 100 and it's in a certain bracket, it gets let into the tiers, the plus tiers, and that's a film that is extra special for my enjoyment, my connection to it, and because there could be films that are better than this outside of the tiers that I don't like as much. This is a combination of quality and my enjoyment, and just my overall kind of my connection to the film. This film I loved every moment of, and it blew me away. It moved me to tears. It made me laugh. Just something that, of course, so interested in. Queen and of course Freddie Mercury. I know a lot about the band, and stuff, but this film is a piece of cinema. Just satisfied me. It really was a wonderful film. Such a heart to the film. Only the characters, are kind of put to the tables. That they are the ones that are first and foremost that are cared about. This film really values, the band, their legacy, and of course, Rami, Malek, and everyone involved kind of serve this wonderfully. They really pay wonderful tribute to this band and to, of course, Freddie Mercury. And of course, the film, many other different themes in the film, portrays the time periods wonderfully. It's a film about acceptance. It really does. It says a lot, about what he went through, and other people as well, of course. Very, very powerful stuff here, and just in the way it's done, it's just so wonderful. It's not kind of biased. It's not forced. As I say, it's so sincere, and it's just a beautiful film, a human film, and an epic ode to one of the greatest bands of all time, and one of course the best performers of all time, Freddie Mercury. This film is a masterpiece, and it edges into my plus tiers. It's not top 100 or top 150 or anything, but it is at the moment roughly in my top 200. I think an absolute masterpiece, and just a film I really adored. Did not expect this. I was kind of halfway through. I was thinking this really, exceeded my expectations beyond what I thought it could. It just. I agree with that 8.1. Basically, the absolute, the massive acclaim, of course, it's got basically on IMDb, and just all these fans. Many people saying it's a great film. Absolutely behind that. I don't get the hate for the film. The critics, they've really hated on the film. And it's just, everyone has their own opinions, but I really don't get the hate for the film. It's an absolutely wonderful film, and just for me personally, of course, just my opinion, it is a masterpiece, and I cannot wait to watch it again. Of course, I will be adding this to my collection. I will buy this, of course, for myself, and I'll be getting it in 4K. Yes. And thanks for watching my review, of course. This film, as I say, blew me away. Highly recommend it if you've not seen it, and just everything I wanted. So yes, of course, more reviews coming. Many films I've watched recently, and yes, cannot wait to be back once again with another review. And yes, thanks for watching my review.